No justice. No peace.
The Black Lives Matter movement brought its fight to Frankfort today.
Say my name.
And Breonna Taylor's name was heard loud and clear.
This protest is being intentionally held here at the Capitol because inside of this building is the office of Kentucky's Attorney General, and this crowd wants him to take action. They're calling for justice for Breonna. They want the Attorney General to arrest and charge the officers involved in her death.
If there's nothing else that we do, we are committed to getting justice for Breonna Taylor.
Hollywood stars like Jada Pinkett Smith and Common traveled to Kentucky to encourage people to keep fighting for change.
This criminal justice system, that's all targeted for us. What the police are doing, that's all from slavery to the Reconstruction era, to the Jim Crow, to mass incarceration. And what the police are doing, they've been trying to keep us as second-class citizens for so long.
The crowd also heard from Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. He was there the night Louisville Metro Police used a no-knock warrant and entered Breonna's apartment.
I know y'all ain't heard a lot from me, if anything, but I just want to let y'all know I appreciate all the love and support for me and most definitely for Breonna. She would appreciate it too.
And Breonna's mom, Tamika Palmer, thanked everyone for fighting for her daughter.
Without y'all, I swear, without all these people, I don't know where I'd be at right now, at home crying still by myself with my daughter.
Palmer also revealed this sign to the crowd. She says it's a gift to all of the state leaders, a gift with a message.
Know that Breonna life mattered, and y'all being out here showing support shows that her life mattered. And we not done until they know that her life mattered.
And today, they made sure Kentucky's leaders got that message. In Frankfort, Carolina Buchek, LEX 18 News.
If you don't know what white privilege is or aren't sure if you've ever witnessed or experienced it, it's not your fault. It's probably just because you're white.
You asked me earlier this morning if I ever saw examples of white privilege out there, and the truth is I didn't. I couldn't come up with anything that I could readily speak to off the top of my head.
There's a reason for that, and this former Lexington detective hit it on the head.
And that may be something that I just am not very perceptive to because I'm white, and as a result, I mean, you could call that privilege in and of itself.
You could call that the very definition of it. Sarah Fahim runs a foundation called We Run with Wolves, which offers personal and corporate empathy training.
White privilege is one of the most enduring forms of privilege.
Sarah endured it in a different manner than most. Her father is Egyptian.
And he's a very dark-skinned man, and so he got pulled over often for that. He got asked questions about how he was raising me.
Questioning him for no other reason than having much darker skin than his daughter. White privilege can come in all forms and fashion, even inside the corner drugstore.
And pick up a prescription or toothpaste and tell the cashier that I don't need a receipt or a bag. I think my siblings of color have been trained their whole lives to get that receipt in that bag because they will be asked if they've stolen something.
Much the way Sarah's father was questioned about his daughter. Gave her a deep understanding of the privilege from both spectrums.
People live an existence that is so completely different from yours, you don't actually believe it's happening.
Dr. Mark McCoy at SMU in Dallas, Texas agrees.
You know, it's like fish in water. Fish don't notice that they're in water.
Dr. McCoy got a glimpse into white privilege 2 decades ago. He tweeted about being arrested for accidentally passing a counterfeit bill from an ATM. George Floyd was accused of the same. That tweet garnered more than 2 million likes, and McCoy was asked by Newsweek magazine to write about the experience.
I don't think it says anything about the moral character of people who don't notice their own white privilege. That's understandable. But we've got a lot of tools now.
And as we know, tools can be used to fix things.
White privilege is certainly a barrier to realizing Dr. King's dream. But as I always say, the ultimate issue is a lack of common memory.
And white people do not have that common thread, never will. But maybe for the first time, we have a real and honest good start.
The vast majority of people who have interacted with that message have been positive.
Positivity is one thing. What we really need is understanding, recognition.
Most white people don't believe in the history.
Most white people don't even believe in the privilege.
It means that your hardships and the way that you have suffered is not because of the color of your skin.
I am very well aware of what kinds of advantages I have in the world.
2 men, 1 white, 1 black, accused of the same crime. One was just published in Newsweek. The other was eulogized yesterday. You needn't know the whole story to know which was which. That too is white privilege. Michael Burke for Evening Edition.
For many black families, the talk comes very early. Moms and dads explaining to their children what they need to know if they're pulled over by police. It's a real talk about how they should act and what they should or should not say. As Kristen Edwards reports, it's a conversation that is passed on from generation to the next.
It's unfortunate that it has to be a thing. It really is.
Joseph Dix had the talk with his father at 5 years old. It was the first time he was told that police may treat him unfairly simply because he's a black man in America.
You gotta use self-control at all times. One thing my dad always said, and don't pop off at the mouth, and just remain calm.
As he got older, those lessons felt more real, especially when he saw his dad get pulled over for the first time.
But he said, son, when a situation like this happen, he says, just do what I do. You stop, okay? He says, you turn the car off, you put the keys on the dashboard, you put your hands on the steering wheel, and you just be respectful to the cops. When they pull you over, it's not always for the right reasons, but don't give them any extra ammunition to use this type of force.
Now, as an uncle, he's helping to teach his nephew the same lesson, that being black means he has to be overly cautious around officers.
As a black man, I'm automatically seen as more suspicious or more criminal. So they're already on edge when they approach my car. So I need to do my best to stay in character, keep myself at ease, calm, make sure that I don't do anything that might, set them off.
Dix says he hopes one day the talk will no longer be necessary.
We wish that we didn't have to have them, but we do.
But understands that may never come to fruition. Kristen Edwards, LEX 18 News.
More than a century ago, the area next to the old courthouse in downtown Lexington was named Cheapside, meaning a place to sell. After the cholera epidemic in 1834, hundreds of slaves started being sold there. It took a civil war, the Emancipation Proclamation, and more years before the slave trade ended in downtown Lexington. But the pain is still felt by Lexingtonians today, causing a cry for the name to be changed, a sentiment that was brought to the forefront again during the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests. Mayor Linda Gordon announced Friday morning that the city's Parks Advisory Board unanimously approved a new name, the Henry A. Tandy Centennial Park. Henry Tandy was a freed slave who moved to Lexington from Estill County in 1865 and worked in construction on many buildings. He joined Alfred Byrd and formed a masonry contracting company called Tandy and Byrd. His company's most notable project was the historic 1899 courthouse, in which he said more than 1.5 million bricks were laid and remain today even after the 2018 renovation.
He was a great architect. He was an enslaved person who became free. And then went through the process of kind of working his way to be one of the wealthiest black folks in this area. So just trying to kind of tell more stories of Lexington, and with him having so many fingerprints on that downtown area, it just made a lot of sense. As far as Henry Tandy is, of course, he's a Black Lexingtonian, and I think conversations that were had just talking about what type of cities do we see, or do we see cities that honor Black folks from where they are? A lot of times you see folks want to honor Martin Luther King, of course, on every street, and now Barack Obama as well, and just things like that. And while they're great figures, of course, there's so many figures within our city that are just as deserving.
Allen says Take Back Cheapside's push for the name change was effective due to persistence.
When we first started Take Back Cheapside in 2016 and kind of the Confederate Monument debate started, there was a lot more hesitance, a lot more, a lot more folks needing to do research, quote unquote, to kind of figure out where they want to be on these issues, and a lot of folks just afraid to step out on these issues. And this time around, after kind of the work that we've kind of laid here in Lexington with working to get the monuments removed from Cheapside Park, we've kind of built that goodwill up.
But Allen says there's still more work to do.
We're hoping for a public apology from the mayor, because all of the slaves that were sold down there had to be rubber stamped by the city. We're hoping to do a couple other things with design and involve the community in that process as well. especially the community around that area.
It's the latest step in a larger mission to make downtown Lexington more inclusive. In Lexington, Claire Kopsky, LEX 18 News.